This is Karl the Shark Schuckert, and I'm here with another episode of SharkSightings.tv. I'm pretty excited about today's training because what I'm going to do is I'm going to be showing you some behind the scenes type of stuff that I like to do with my business internally, things like email marketing. And now, I know I own a messenger marketing platform, but by no way, means, shape, or form am I against email marketing. In fact, I think that email marketing is still vitally important to your business, and messenger marketing is just another parallel of way to communicate to your subscribers and also get emails onto your list, by the way. However, on today's call, I'm going to actually show you the process that I put myself through in order to set up myself for an email campaign, especially if I'm going to be writing the sales copy. So on today's training and on today's call, we're going to show you exactly the walkthrough. So I'm going to show you exactly like what am I thinking on my email campaign while I'm going through there. What are my subject lines are going to be? How many times that I'll probably write the subject lines. In fact, I probably would write them more than I actually show you on this video. It really just depends on how much breakthrough that I want to get through to the people that I'm actually sending a message to. But I also kind of dive you through how I pull people through my message from the subject line to the top of the message all the way to the bottom of the message, and how am I creating value to my end user who is going to actually open up that email. So my ultimate goal on that part is to get them from headline to open up from headline, get them from message to click one of my links, and then get them from the link over to wherever that next message is. Maybe it's to capture a lead, offer promotion, offer free training, whatever the case may be. However I can create value to my list, so that way my list wants to continue to listen to what Karl the Shark Schuckert has to offer to its list. Now, I'm a huge proponent and believe in the fact that you gotta like give before you ever ask for anything else back in return. That's kind of the reason why I'm doing all these videos. So I'm going to show you real quickly in this next little segment exactly the process, and at the end I'll end with another finishing message for this. All right, see you soon. Or back to Karl or back to myself. Okay, so we're inside of here. As you can see, I've already sort of started this thing, so you guys would be able to see where I started, and I'm going to kind of just go over the different kind of ways. I'm basically just writing an email for a third follow-up series that I'm building inside of Segmate, our messenger marketing and bot platform. And one thing that I wanted to show you guys is going into the series, there's a few different methods that you want to go into. So if you noticed, I've already thought of two subject lines. The first one is last week's replays up, this week's Facebook ban hammer. So I want to use something that is kind of, you know, enough in your face or relevant enough or informational enough, or what are you going to get out of it by opening this up, or using some sort of buzzword. So like a big buzzword that's on Facebook that seems to have a lot of concern and people kind of attract to concern is the word ban hammer. I have Facebook here as well. I could do option 2, which will add that little TM. That kind of helps that stick out as well. So when people see FBTM, they know we're talking about Facebook. The second subject line, I went ahead and just said, forget about talking about last week's replay. However, it's good to have a stack of these. Usually what I would do is I'd write like 5 or 6 of these, and then I'd actually pick which ones I'm going to use. And I'm going to basically show you guys exactly sort of like how I build a an email out to my to, you know, whoever's on my list. So good chance you're on my list if you're watching this now as well, and if not, you need to be on my list. Okay, if you found me on YouTube or something like that, you should probably smash the subscribe button and also figure out how to join my list. Just start following me on Facebook. I'm sure there'll be plenty of opportunities. So anyway, this second one here is you know, FBTM, ban hammer safety and how to keep your bots safe. So this one right here might be really relevant for people because they're thinking Facebook ban hammers safety and how to keep my bots safe. I'm kind of using safety and safe here a couple of times. So maybe it's like ban hammer protection, right? Facebook ban hammer protection and how to keep your bots safe. So that might be a good one. Let's think about another subject line. So I use just an abbreviated subject. Whoops. And another one, we want to start thinking again along the lines of how am I going to get their attention? How am I going to get them to click, open up my only concern is getting them to open it up, right? I have a couple of different lists. One list is like 15,000 people, another list is about 5,000 people. So out of about 20,000 people, which is not a huge list, but you got to build somewhere. Plus, I keep our list very, very clean. So there's been a lot of instances where people don't open up the list within 6 months. They basically just get wiped out of our AR. Why pay for that person to be on our list at that point? So I've already used the banhammer thing a couple of times. What else could I talk about? How about compliance? So let's see here. Let's keep your messenger marketing, and also too, by the way, I'm using Grammarly, just in case you were wondering what is this page. App.Grammarly, highly recommend it, by the way. It helps me because I definitely have a lot of spelling errors and grammar errors, and it's one of those areas that I've been challenged with. But however, doing email and Facebook and internet marketing has definitely helped out. So using an app like this is highly suggested. I absolutely love it, love it, love it. So let's hear, keep your messenger marketing. Keep your messenger marketing. I already used banhammer, so I want to stay away from that word. Keep your messenger marketing. Keep compliance, or let's see here. Compliance would be more of like what we're trying to talk about. So compliance and messenger marketing. Compliance and messenger marketing. Let's messenger marketing reviewed. Yeah, there we go. So let's do this, because since we're promoting a webinar live Thursday, join the topic of compliance and messenger marketing. All right, so let me there we go. Yeah, so live, maybe a little bar in there, live Thursday, join the topic of compliance and messenger marketing. It's kind of a boring one, but who knows, right? Like, we could actually even split test some of these just to see which one's going to work better. But I'm not really flowing on some ideas here. I kind of like this one the best, and this one's good too, maybe as a first one, because people that missed last week's replay, they know that it's up. We'll have links in here as well. All right, so let's just get into the message now. Kind of the first part of the message. Remember, each thing is to try to like pull someone through that message, because my ultimate goal right now is to get them to click to our basically our bridge page between our webinar registration page and get them on our messenger list. So my next goal is to get them to that point. So right now I want to act like I'm just talking to one person versus talking to everybody in a sense. However, I am talking to everybody. So you got to kind of think marketing / sales. So inside of the message, it's also more of a long form message. Typically when I get into my emails, I usually kind of write a little bit of a long form type of message. But let's see here. So, well, Keith, and I hope you enjoyed last week's session on the Flexi list building method and how to get free traffic by being discovered. By being discovered with a little known a little known Facebook business catalog, right? So a little known Facebook business catalog called Discover. Oops, I guess it spelled it wrong. Discover. Here are the links to the last webinars in case you missed them. Okay, and then I'm going to do a little thing here that just reminds me. Links here Okay, now let's dig in. Let's dig into what's next. Have you ever heard the word ban hammer before? So have you ever heard the word ban hammer before? Most people who run ads know what I'm referring to. If not, it means big blue Facebook. Always put in that little TM. So if not, it means big blue Facebook has policies which have been so they have policies, and basically what I'm trying to say here is they're being broken. So they have been broken. It's super important to know what the do's and don'ts are when it comes to messenger marketing. It's to say up to snuff. Okay. So, and the cool thing about using Grammarly is sometimes they'll actually show me words that are overused. So like the word important, they're saying is overused. They're saying to replace it with essential. So it's essential to say up to snuff. I'm going to go ahead and take their, take their idea. I'm going to go ahead and take their suggestion. So when it comes to messenger marketing, it's essential to stay up to snuff. This is why Keith and I wanted to make sure the education gets out and you can keep your bots in business. On Thursday's call, we are going to cover all the do's and don'ts, right? So we're going to cover all the do's and don'ts. Things like what is the 24 plus 1 rule? Run rule. Many people miss interpret this and they give me they also tell me where I should change some things and possibly even add commas, so very helpful. The do's and don'ts. So on Thursday's call, we're going to be covering all the do's and don'ts. So now here's where it's good to list out. So I talked about last week's call, got that out of the way, have some links there. Next thing is I'm going to get into why they should be clicking these next links. Like, why should you want to be involved with this? Well, my mind is if you're building a business and you're promoting a lot on Facebook and you're using messenger marketing, then you don't want to miss this call whatsoever. So you almost want to write it into that, in that mindset is like, how can I make them feel like they need to be on this call no matter what? And one way I've used is assumptive messaging. So it's basically saying like, when you're on this call, you're going to learn this. When you're like, when instead of if on some of these things. So I know, and here I said if not it means, so I'm just saying an if there, it's not a really big deal. When it comes to messenger marketing, it's essential to stay up to snuff. This is why Keith and I wanted to make sure the education gets to you, and you can keep your bots in business. So I'm talking directly to you, right? That one person. Next, I'll end with some assumptive talking. So on Thursday's call, we're going to cover the do's and don'ts. Things. It's good to always read one last time too when you're done, because you will find that even though you were thinking you were writing it correctly the first time, you'll find that you actually didn't. So things like, what is the 24+1 rule? Many people misinterpret this and could be in violation of Facebook's TOS. And I'll abbreviate. Sometimes I might use acronyms too, by the way. If you guys notice with some of my writing that have been on my list, I like to, if I'm using the acronym or the abbreviation, I'll actually spell it out too. So that way it's kind of like educational just by reading this. So, terms of service, right? And no one reads the terms of service, right? But some things you pretty much should. The other thing you can do is you can make these little bullet points, which kind of stick out like this on each one, and then I'll just like copy and paste that. So another thing is ads versus oh no, here we go. So promotional messaging. So promotional messaging, oh, there's an A there. Okay, so promotional messaging, follow-ups, and subscriber messaging. Okay. Okay, that'll be that one. And maybe I should even add something here like what you should know, what are the differences? Okay, and then what I could do even here is I could say, I could talk about, instead of like each one, or I could actually break these down, right? I could actually say, you know what, here's what we're going to take and put follow-ups, just to make it a little bit longer. Follow-ups. Let's take subscriber messaging. Okay, and then now what I'm going to do here is add more here. So like promotional messaging and ads, how to use these the best. Follow-ups would be like Facebook gives you one of these each time. Gives you one of these each time you have a promo. Subscriber messaging, and this one's big, so I'll say this one is big. This one is big, and Facebook has some rules you need to follow. Okay. Now let's talk about another one that just kind of came to mind, which was, by the way, Keith is running most of this webinar, so I'm not totally clear on everything, but here we go. I just remembered. So let's see here. Subscriber tags. What does this mean and how do I use them to stay compliant? Now Facebook has this new thing. I'm going to look it up on my other screen real quick just so I make sure I have it right. Let's see. Just want to make sure I get this correct. On this part, they actually have an application you have to fill out for your subscriber bots, so I want to just make sure I use the correct jargon for it. Let's see. Go to here. Okay. So what it's called is advanced messaging features. So I'm going to put that in here. Advanced messaging features and getting Facebook's approval. I'll say approved subscription messaging. Okay. And I'll probably take all the periods off of these. Okay. As you can see, lots to cover in this upcoming a live event, because it is live workshop. By the way, too, I started using the word workshop instead of webinars because I feel like a lot of our trainings aren't just selling, they're also very informational, so they're very informative and they're really packed with that information. So I felt like it's important to start calling them workshops versus anything else. Also, too, on a compliance rate, I've heard workshop is a little bit more compliant. So let's see here. As you can see, lots to cover on this up and coming live workshop. When you join us live, so now I'm not asking them to, right? I'm telling them when you join us live, make sure to take lots of notes, because these things, because you will want to implement this info right away. See you. Oh yeah, PL, please feel free to invite anyone you wish. Maybe you have a business partner or some VAs who could get a lot out of it. Okay, so I'm going to change some of this stuff here. It says I need to fix this word info. That's why I always say you need to definitely read this. Maybe you have a business partner or some VAs who could get a lot from it. See you on the call. See you live. Karl Schuckert, co-founder Segmate. All right, cool. So now let's go ahead and read through it. I'm going to keep it pretty much this short. I could add more. Another thing you can do too is, and as I read through this, I'm going to kind of let you in on how, or what I was thinking as I went through here. But I could always leave a PS here, like remember to protect your bots. There you go. And I could also put another link down there. Typically you want to have 2 or 3 links in here. You want to kind of hyperlink, that kind of stuff. Might actually show you that here in just a minute. But what I'm going to do right now is just kind of read through it once and see what I find, and hopefully I don't miss anything, which does sometimes happen. So I could write a few more subject lines just seeing this right here. I like this subject line the best, but I might start with this one because I will send to the people that didn't open this one. There's ways to do that with different email autoresponders, and then I might do this one live. I might change this live now, like right before we get started. So that right there would be 3 pretty good subject lines in that order. Might work the best. And on this one, I'd probably just email the whole list right before we went live if that was the case. All right, so people already know us by now who's on our list anyways. They know myself and they know my business partner Keith typically because I've introduced them. So it says, well, Keith and I hope you enjoyed last week's session on the Flexi list building method and how to get free. And I put a dot here, by the way, because Google doesn't like the word free, and it could actually hurt your inboxing. So sometimes you'll see these where people will put a period here. It doesn't make any sense, but you still understand what it means, and that is a reason why. So free traffic by being discovered with a little known Facebook business catalog called Discover. So I'm pulling on reasons why they should watch the replays. So here are the links to the last webinars in case you missed them. Links here. Okay, now so now this digs into what's next instead of that. So now let's, right? I think I'm using the word let's a lot here. So sometimes you need to probably pay attention to overuse of certain words, and maybe you can replace them with other things. So I could say now let's dig. Okay, now let's dig into what's next. Have you ever heard the word banhammer before? Most people who run ads know what I'm referring to. Saying this is preposition at the end of the sentence. So to at the end of the sentence, consider rewording the sentence if readers are likely to object. So remember this in sales copy. This isn't always going to be correct. This is probably more of the grammatically correct way of saying it, but not necessarily going to work it for sales copy. For me, I like the way it says. They know what I'm referring to. So if not, it means Big Blue, Facebook, has policies which have been broken. It's super important, which I thought I replaced that, to know what the do's and the don'ts are. I thought we replaced that to essential, but for some odd reason it went back. When it comes to messenger marketing, here we go. It's essential to stay up to snuff. This is why Keith and I wanted to make sure the education gets to you and you keep your bots in business. So again, talking to the one person, I'm talking to you directly versus like everybody. So on Thursday's call, we're going to cover all the do's and don'ts. Things like what is the 24+1 rule? Many people misinterpreting this misinterpreting this and could be in violation of Facebook's TOS, terms of service. Promotional messaging and ads, how to use this the best. Follow up, Facebook gives, and I'm going to put the little thing here. Option 2 gives you one of these each time you have a promo. Okay. Subscriber messaging. This one is big, and Facebook has some rules you need to follow. Subscriber tagging. What does this mean, and how do I use them to stay compliant? Advanced messaging and getting Facebook's approvals for subscription messaging. And then this is going to be this is mandatory. Okay, so again, I just put that in there. This is mandatory because it is. Facebook has actually got a date coming soon, so this is mandatory. As you can see, lots to cover in this up and coming live workshop. When you join us live, again, I'm now starting to assume they're going to come, right, on this workshop, period. Now I need to capitalize that. So when you join us live, now it's telling me I didn't need a sentence there, so I guess I don't. So yeah, so as you can see, lots to cover in this up and coming live workshop. When you join us live, make sure to take lots of notes, because these you will want to implement, because these rules, because these let's see here, the easiest thing to say is rules, but maybe there's a different way to word this. So let's see, take lots of note, because these rules you will want to implement right away. You'll want to implement right away. Okay, there we go. As you can see, lots to cover in this up and coming live workshop. When you join us live, make sure to take lots of notes, because these rules you will want to implement right away, especially if some of your current bots are breaking them. Okay, so please feel free to invite anyone you wish. Maybe you have a business partner or some VAs who could get a lot from it, out of it. See you live, Karl Schuckert, co-founder, Segmate. PS, remember to protect your bots. Cool. All right, so that right there, I just went through it. Seems like everything's good. I need to put my links on it. On the next video, I'm going to show you guys what it's going to look like inside of my AR right before I send it. So we'll see you on that next part. Okay guys, welcome to this next part in this short little shark sightings TV. And anyway, just going to show you, I'm not showing you everything here, but I use ActiveCampaign as like my preferred autoresponder for my email stuff. Just like them, they have a lot of automation, tagging, sequencing, segmenting, stuff like that. So you can do some really ninja stuff if you're into that dorky, geeky stuff like I am. But I'm going to show you the next step. I took my sales copy that I just wrote. I already listed off the name of the having a blank, but the subscriber, or not the subscriber, the subject line. You guys should see the subject line already on here. There might be another chance where I'll be able to show it to you. But basically, here's what it looks like. There's a couple of things you want to do is have your links in here. Typically, you want to have links up top as well for this event. So I do have this one here for signing up, and this one here for signing up as well. Let me just double check to make sure it looks okay, because it didn't get that H in there. Let's see. Yeah, it's got the H in there, so good. So it's there, so it doesn't really matter. I also will like hyperlink. What that means is like I can highlight this whole area and then associate that actual URL. So I'm gonna make sure the URL is there. It is, and it'll look like that. So it is kind of above the fold and then also below the fold. Above the fold means it's like up here, you don't have to scroll. Being that I'm also reminding them about last week's calls, I've got those links in here as well. And now this is pretty much set up. Now, being that this is a company message, I also want to make sure that I always add our company logo here so people are familiarized with it. They're just going to continue to see it over and over and over again. And there's a picture of me, which I also like to add because it's personal and people see my face and people resonate with faces and stuff like that. But everything else looks pretty good here. I do have to wait to send this because we are changing the bridge page. So I'm just going to hit next, and I'm going to just probably save it because I'm going to send it here in like a few hours. I'm just waiting for Keith to make a couple of changes on that page. But everything looks good. You can see this is the subject line that I was saying earlier. I'm going to actually use this one first, and then I'll use the next one. The other thing that I do want to mention is that you do a test, okay? So you can see it's coming from this email. These are like all the lists that it's going to be sent out to. So over 5,346 contacts. I actually have multiples of these accounts, so this isn't all of my list, but this is like the one main list that I use. So anyway, on here I've got send test. So I can send a test here. The reason why I recommend this is because you want to make sure that you get deliverability into those main boxes, and you want to try to keep them out of the promotional box. Now, if you notice here, there's a thing that says spam check. That's an auto function that's set up through ActiveCampaign. So you want to make sure that that passes, and then also you want to test it on your end just to see on your own site. So I've got this going to one of my other email accounts. I could also send it to a few others, but this actually goes to a Gmail account, which is typically what most people use, and that's pretty much where I do most of my testing. Just don't have time to test every single email service out there. But other than that, everything looks good here. I mean, if I wanted to add some other stuff here, I could totally add it here if I wanted to. But everything looks good. Now what I'm doing is I'm going to hit save and exit. Okay. And I just wanted to show you guys something really quickly before I leave. Now I saved it there, so I'm going to send that a little bit later as soon as I hear. But I want to show you something here. So like this last email I sent got 8.22% open rate and like 0.69% click-through rate. However, I want to mention that these were like follow-up sequences, okay? So let me just show you something that's interesting here that you can do with ActiveCampaign. You can do this with SendLane. You can do this with Aweber. All the major email autoresponders out there, I've used them all. They all pretty much have this feature. But one thing that I love about ActiveCampaign is it's just easy to use. I can click here where it says send to contacts who have not read or opened this campaign. So once I started a campaign and 24 hours from now, I would send out another email because that last email just got buried in everybody else's email and they didn't have a chance to look at it. And so let's say they open up their email today, they're actually going to see me up top and it's just higher visibility inside of the email. So I would actually click there and I'd hit continue and it would send it out. It would also give me the option to change the subject line. So I'm not going to do it right here because I don't want to set it up, but I'm just letting you know as another tip to change your subject lines because your subject lines can be useful and can be changed. You can also do split testing with subject lines as well, and what that means is like ActiveCampaign's not going to send all, they'll send like 1,000 sends or 500 sends. Then they'll measure which ones had the most clicks, and then they'll actually activate that one on that spot. All right, so that's the end of the Shark Sightings TV information for today's call or for today's video. I hope you got a lot out of this session. I hope that you were able to change the way you're thinking or even apply some of these methods into your business immediately from any of the sales copy or email copy that you might take from some of this, the different variations that I use, the different subject lines that I use, and just help you understand how to successfully run an email campaign. Now, I'm also going to say I'm not perfect, okay? There's probably other ways to do this, but I'm usually in a hurry, okay? So this has actually been some of the fastest methods for me to come up with ideas. One is just to do it, okay? So I'm just going to kind of quickly, before we end this video and before we end this session, I'm just going to kind of give you the quick little 1, 2, 3 things that you do. So one, make a good subject line. Make many subject lines. In fact, BuzzFeed and some of these larger blog networks out there, they use different subject lines or headlines. They actually write up to 100 of them, and then they even split test some of them just to see which ones hook better for SEO value. This is kind of no different. You need to have a good headline or subject line that's going to stick out in the masses of someone's inbox, which is pretty messy, as you probably already know. Then after that, the next goal is to get them to read through the message and click a link. Okay, that's it. That's all you should be thinking about when you're making your email. And the best way that I found is to provide a ton of value in the email itself. Let them know or pre-frame them what kind of information that they're going to get out of whatever they're clicking to. Okay, and then also use an assumptive mindset when you're writing your email. So like instead of working if or maybe or you should or something like that, you could change your wording to something like what you're going to get out of this, when you're going to get out of this, and then when you show up or when you click here, you're going to see this or you're going to see that. So you're pre-framing what the next message is going to be. All right, guys, that's all I've got for Shark Sightings TV. Hopefully you're getting a lot. If you are, smash the subscribe button, smash the like button. Let me know in the comment section, wherever you're seeing this, if you're getting a ton of value out of these, because every single month it's been my goal to continue to roll these out. And if you're missing them, you can find us on YouTube as well. All right, this is Karl, the Shark Schuckert, and we'll see you guys on the next call. Ciao.